Welcome back to Moonshine Performance. Right here we have an early 80s Malibu in front of us, and I guess she's brought to us with a couple of problems. It's kind of odd because this Malibu actually has a truck bed on it and they called it an El Camino. By the way, I know that it's not a Malibu, it's an El Camino. Anyway, it's an early 80s Elco. We actually built the 355 that's in this thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and pop the hood here. Oh, let's see. Maybe. It's down further. Right there. Okay. Pop the hood, show you this thing. But it was brought to us, I need two hands. It was brought to us with what claims to be carburetor issues. The guy that bought this motor from us threw it in this car and did all the work for it, but he's put an MSD box in it and he's put a couple other things. And we're just going to look over everything. And this is actually the one that was on that test stand, the first ever test stand video that we have on our YouTube channel. So we're going to look over this thing. He claims it's breaking up, and I drove it. It is. It's breaking up when you floor it, and you know, he's driven it for, I don't know how many years, 2 years now? And it just started doing this after he's changed a couple things. So we're going to do some looking, and 9 times out of 10, problems are ignition related. They're probably, it's got that Holley clone, it's a Demon carburetor. It's 600, right? Is that what he's got on there? 650? Anyway, around that ballpark. You're running the mill 355, 600 Holley on it. And it's just a good running motor. It runs great. Car's smooth. We're just going to do some work to it and see what the problem is here. I think what I'm first going to do is start inspecting plugs and seeing how this thing's running, and just that'll tell you a story right there. Alright, so after some inspection here, we're kind of dangling, checking vacuum lines. I know that can lead to a lot of trouble. We pulled a couple plugs. These plugs are garbage. They're nice and foul out, nice and rich and black. So we're gonna have to do some more inspection as far as that goes. But like I said, I was looking at this vacuum line, and here's the main vacuum for the carburetor, and it ain't going in anything. So it used to go to Vacuum Advanced there on the distributor, but he had recently put in this MSD box and unplugged that. Must have missed this or something. So that's a vacuum leak. That could be some of our problem. But yeah, we're just gonna keep looking at things and see what we can do. We checked a couple of them plug wires that those plugs came out of as far as resistance goes, and it's not jumping all over the place, so they're good. There's no fray or shorter or anything like that in them, so that's checked out. That looks pretty good. But we're gonna keep a little bit of fuel in the oil, so we're going to change that out for them and get her moving. So here on this El Camino, the first thing that we like to generally look for are vacuum leaks. They cause the most problems, and they're the easiest to diagnose. So this line right here, this line right here I'd already show you was off. So that was a big vacuum leak right there. Even a tiny pinhole is a big problem. This one goes to the transmission module, whatever. It shifts the transmission, or keeps it from shifting until there's no vacuum, rather. But that's unplugged. It's not an open hole on the carb side right now, so I have this vacuum gauge in here so we can pull a reading and figure out what kind of power valve to throw in this thing to kind of help his performance issue. As far as that goes, after I put a couple new lines in there, I checked his PCV line, which is a big, like a 3/8 bung on the back side, and this is the hose that was on there, and this thing is massive. I'll show you. This is like the same carburetor over here. I'll kind of show you how easy it is to stick on and off. So here's 2 fingers right here. It just slides right on. And I almost guarantee that's a seeping vacuum leak right there. It doesn't seal very well. I mean, it wiggles and spins and jiggles. You should be able to pull it on and have a decent, difficult time getting it off. Honestly, this isn't the right hose, but something like a fuel line, this is kind of hard and brittle too, but if you can get it over it, it's good. So that's kind of what we're going to do. I'm going to search around here for some line. If not, we got to go get some oil and get some more 3/8 fuel line for that PCV. And he's working on spark plugs and hopefully get this thing fired back up tonight.
I remember the trick I learned probably 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago.
And by the way, he told me to pick up the camera before he tells me.
Before I told him.
And he's got a
be surprised that
piece of hose in his hand, and I think
a piece of hose in my hand. Okay, well anyway, I was working on the car. I was fighting with a spark plug, you know, trying to get a spark plug in there one time. Well, I happened to look up, and there's a vacuum line with a spark plug that was plugging the vacuum line. So that kind of gave me an idea. So you screw this spark plug in there, shove the hose on it.
Or you could use it to start it, right?
Yeah, but no, I'd start it by hand, then shove the hose on it, and turn the hose and get it tight. Then go back and tighten it up.
Well, that's a pretty good trick. So, how many have you got left?
I got a couple left.
Alright, so we got all of them on this side. Look in. I just ran and grabbed some oil. Got the oil filter up. Drain plug's tight. So, I'm going to go ahead and dump a few quarts of oil in here. Fix that PCV hose, and we ought to be good to go. So, another thing you need to check before you do much of anything is you need to check the timing and ensure that that is correct. You can't take anybody's word for it, even if you know that they know what they're doing. You need to check it yourself. We just checked this one, and it was at 10 to 12 degrees normally, just idling. And then as soon as you rev that thing, it jumps to like 55, which is way too much. He said he had replaced weights in the distributor back here, and we're going to have to do something different there because that's way too much advance. So again, way too much timing. That's probably where all the breaking up is coming from. All right, we got all the plugs replaced. We're tying up these plug wires right now. Did he have that looped over the valve cover?
I'm sure I had it.
Either way, as long as they're away from the header, I'm all right with it. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and get a vacuum reading, fire it up for a second, see what's going on. We're also going to verify timing here. He's just checking to make sure that the firing order is correct as far as where the plugs are going, plug wires are going. So that's good. We got all the boots snapped on. That one cylinder 5 was a pain, man. That was hard to get on and off, but we got her done.
Yeah, we're basically going back to square one
and making sure everything's correct on this thing, and we'll go ahead and figure it all out. So we're going to fire it up in the next clip. I'm going to walk around here to the side, give her a crank, and see what happens. He just asked me, he's like, well, we're going to get ready to take this thing for a spin. You go, leave the air cleaner off. I said, nope, I have learned the hard way. I had a K10 that caught on fire because I didn't have an air cleaner on it. Well, I'm assuming that it would have suppressed the fire had I had the air cleaner on it. So, being that we don't want any fires and that this is not our car, the air cleaner is going on it, even if we're going around the block, because it caught on fire not even a block away from here. So, that is always a good call. Remember your air cleaner, fellas. But we're going to take this thing for a spin. Sounds good. We've upped the idle a little bit. It sounded like it was a little bit low. We kind of temporarily tied down that coil and the box just to make sure that everything is good and secure, because you're not supposed to have those things flopping around. It's still not right, but it needs to get permanently tied down. That, and it needs a fuel regulator. This thing's pumping like 8-9 pounds of pressure into this carburetor, and the seats are just not going to be able to hold that back. Alright, we are taking this thing for a spin. We got good oil pressure and not a lot of heat, so we're in good shape. And I can already tell I just kind of did a little bit of a get up and go, and it feels a lot better from when I first test drove it. Hopefully you can hear me. This thing just rattles like crazy. Hit it! Well, we just made another pull and it's still doing it a little bit. What happens is when you gun it, it kind of stays in a certain RPM range for a couple seconds, getting this Elko out of here. He's gonna back up and roast them. You're good right there. Hell yeah! Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.